Welcome back. Thanks very much for staying with us here on SABC News. Before we continue with the following story, we want you to be advised that the following conversation that we'll be now having might have some graphic content. The Texas gunman who murdered 19 children and 2 teachers posted an online message warning that he was going to shoot up an elementary school minutes before he attacked. Governor Greg Abbott said yesterday as harrowing new details of the massacre emerged, the gunman, Salvador Ramos, allegedly purchased 2 assault rifles just days after turning 18 and used them to carry out the second worst school shooting in U.S. history. Let's discuss this then with the mental health, the impact of mass shootings. We are now joined via Zoom by Greta Wetzel, who's a senior psychosocial support advisor at Save the Children U.S. She joins us now live from Florida U.S. A very good afternoon to you. Don't know what time it is there, but thanks very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk about the psychological impacts of all of this. I just want to talk about, some of the disturbing stories that we heard coming out of this particular shooting. We understand that there was, an 11-year-old girl who survived the shooting because of the fact that, she smeared blood on herself and pretended to be dead. I mean, there's very many stories of what we've heard took place on that day. But let's talk about the mental, psychological impact, really, especially on an 11-year-old child having to go through such lengths to stay alive. I can't imagine that a situation like this can ever leave this child.
Yeah, first I just want to say how devastated we all are about this tragedy that happened this past week. And the bravery of those children who, like the girl that you're speaking of, that she was able to survive this attack. One thing to really keep in mind is that not everyone is going to experience the same tragedy in the same way. So as children are experiencing this, some may have some really extreme reactions, and others may not have a reaction at all. And being okay with that, understanding that everyone that experiences something may have a different view of what happened and a different way that their body reacts. So some children may have nightmares, others may have acting out behaviors, while other children may be kind of keeping to themselves and socially isolating. And, in these early days, especially making sure that we are taking time to be patient with those reactions, to give space to listen to how those children are feeling, and reassuring them that you as the adult are there to keep them safe and help them through this process.
Yeah. What's the possibility really of this incident affecting them, even into their adult years, into their adulthood? And, the concern for me is that, they may act out when they are grown adults because of this trauma. And I'm going to call it trauma that they experience. And some people might not understand it. Some people might not necessarily know that they went through such a traumatic incident. And when you're an adult, people just suggest you sort of move on from traumas as a child. Let's talk about the impact and how it could affect them as adults, and how that could be prevented. Can it in fact be prevented?
The good news is there's lots of things that we can do to help support children who have witnessed violence such as this. I would 100% say that people should reach out for professional help through counseling and things like that. But one thing that has shown to be really effective is finding survivor groups and those people who have a shared experience with you, so that you know that you're not alone, that this thing didn't just happen to you, that there are other people that have a similar experience, and you're able to heal together, which I think is really important. There's no way to say, nope, this is not going to affect you when you're an adult, but we can put things in place, and that includes having supportive community around you, supportive caregivers, who allow you the time to express those emotions and talk about what happened, so that we're able to come up with some ways to manage and cope with those feelings that you're having.
How much of an impact and role does social media and media in general play when it comes to, and I'm shifting the blame now to not shifting the blame, but shifting the focus to the shooter, well, the blame too, actually. Let's talk about the influence of social media in this particular place. I mean, we understand that the gunman had posted, on Facebook about 30 minutes before reaching the school. I mean, he started off saying that, he was going to shoot at his grandmother, and he did. The second post was about going to an elementary school. I'm going to shoot people, children at an elementary school, which he then did. And also, how do you decide what you take seriously and what you don't? I mean, there are a lot of people that aren't well that are tweeting or posting on social media. Let's talk about the impact of social media, because this has really also come into a focus.
Yes, this is a really challenging area because, like you said, some people may post things that are just maybe attention seeking, and then others, like this gunman, was very serious about their intention. One thing to remember is that adolescents still have developing brains, and the images that they see on social media can impact how they respond to those images and then the actions that they take. And really utilizing social media in good ways and in bad ways. There are lots of really wonderful aspects of it, but then there's also this dark side of seeking glorification for what they're doing, seeking attention, reaching out for some type of connection. A lot of times social media can be really isolating and utilized as a tool to try to make connections or to try to get that attention. And in this case, it seems as though that could be what this gunman did. And we really need to work together as a community to shift how we look at social media and how we support children. Limiting their time on social media and things like that.
All right, Greta, thank you so much for making time out to talk to us here in South Africa. We certainly do appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. That's Greta Wetzel, who's a senior psychosocial support advisor at Save the Children U.S, joining us from Florida in the U.S.